A big time win for your Purdue Boilermakers on the road in Alabama. How about it? That is what it's all about. Your seniors showing up when it counts most. We're going to be talking about it all here on Boilers in the Stands post-game show, and we are starting right now. All right, we are back here on Boilers in the Stands post-game show edition as the Purdue Boilermakers win a thriller down in Alabama, their first road non-conference win versus a top 10 team since 1982, just when you thought Purdue had kind of knocked off all the accolades for everything they've done in this program during the golden era the last few years. They notch another one on their belt. Braden Smith goes berserk in the second half. Kaufman-Renn returns, goes crazy in the first half. What a game from your Purdue Boilermakers, who showed a lot of grit and heart and will and desire and toughness and veteranship with everything they have with this senior class. Some big-time plays. We're going to be getting into it all. I am your host, Greg Braggs Jr. Alongside me, as always, is Joe Jackson. Craig Bowers will be joining in just a few moments. Make sure you hit the like button while you're hanging out. Subscribe to the channel. We do shows every single week, preview shows, post-game shows, interviews, all that and more. So let's get into it without further ado. Joe, what a win. This is how we start the season 3-0 with already a top 10 win under their belt here to get on the road to Indy.
Yeah, I mean, first things first is, hey, this team looks a little bit better when they have their other All-American back in Kaufman-Renn. If you listen to the preview, you do know, I think Kraig and I both predicted a very close game. I even picked Alabama by a point or two, but when I did pick that, was, man, it is hard to bet against Braden Smith and Kaufman-Renn, and that is exactly what happened in this game. I mean, Braden Smith goes absolutely berserk, shows why he can be the best player, why he is the best player in the entire country, why he's the best point guard. TKR is, I mean, if Braden Smith's the best player, then TKR might just be the best second option there is in the country. He has, 15 rebounds. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about the rebounds, but Purdue dominated. Are there things to clean up? Absolutely. But I think you could even, if we're going to just spin everything positive right now, Purdue didn't play their A+ game, and they still went on the road against, they were ranked number 8 in the AP poll, a tough environment, and still got the win. And so there's still room for this team to improve. There's still room for this team to clean a lot of things up. But at the same time, it is hard to bet against a team that has Braden Smith and Kaufman-Renn on the roster. And when you have those two on the roster, especially at this point in their careers, they have been through the highs, they have been through the lows. They are just winners. And you saw Braden, especially, and as TKR kind of had I assume was cramping later in the game. I mean, you just saw Braden, he got the switch he wanted. And the one time he yelled at Fletch, he said, "Get out of the way." And I believe that's kind of what I know the broadcast mentioned Braden and Fletch kind of bickering at each other. I'm pretty sure that's what it was about. Braden, you could kind of lip read, and I won't repeat it. But you could see him say, like, "No, just get out of my way." Like, I had what I wanted. Braden took over. TKR was monumental. And then I thought some of the other guys were good too. And we'll talk about all of them. Oscar Cluff, again, things to clean up across the board. So I'm just going to put that blanket statement out for everybody. But like Cluff keeps looking better. Mayer started to get going. Jacobsen had a stretch. Just a big win. I feel like for Purdue fans, probably got to be a little bit of a relief. Just seeing them get that win after a shaky little start to the season. This is why we don't judge the team purely on game 1. We also don't judge them purely on game 3. They still have to continue this going forward, but it's a very good sign, very good win for Purdue.
No question about it. You see G. Bolin in the head saying we looked cold-blooded down the stretch, and 100%. If you're wondering why this team was picked by a lot of people to get to a Final Four, potentially get to a national championship and win one tonight, if you had any doubts before this game, now you see it, because they have the experience and that championship medal, that veteranship, and it was all about this team coming together. And if some doubt crept in your mind the way an athletic Kentucky team in an exhibition game just completely routs Purdue in the second half, that's why you go down to Kentucky because it gets you ready for a road environment in Alabama. I don't know who Alabama played in their exhibition game, but all I know is Purdue was more than ready for tonight's affair. And you're 100% right. I was tough on Oscar Cluff in our last post game, even though you said he was improving. I'm sitting here like, I need more out of him. And he set the tone to start the game, especially Oscar Cluff. Really, as I try to figure this out, I'm sorry here. There you go. We're back. Thank you, Joe. But Oscar Cluff really at the beginning of the game set the tone. You could tell Purdue's strategy was like, hey, we're going to beat you up down low because you don't have the bigs to handle ours. And then Kaufman-Renn really started to assert himself. I think he had 17 points at halftime, just completely dominating them. And 10 threes by Alabama is really what kept them in the ballgame. Obviously, we've been through this with Alabama. They live and die by the three. Last year, Purdue gets the best of them. But it did remind me a little more of the Alabama game that was in Toronto, I believe, and Kraig attended that game where they just were firing to start, and then not all the threes were dropping in the second half, which led to the Boilers to have a big win in that regard. So there's a lot of familiarity with these two programs, but the way Purdue can get you a few different ways is important. I thought, to your point, Daniel Jacobsen, early on, not showing those strong hands, but they didn't give up on him. They kept going to him, and he made big plays down the stretch. I could go on and on, but Craig Bowers here has jumped in, so I want to get your viewpoint of all this, because me and Joe were talking in a game like this where you're kind of getting back into the big game, your head spinning, you're going crazy as a fan. It's somewhat hard right now to kind of collect your thoughts because it was so thrilling to watch Purdue come into their own with how they seem to be out of sorts here in the first couple weeks between the exhibition and the first two games of like, what are they going to be? Well, we saw it here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they were out of sorts without one of the top 15 players in the entire country, right? So, like, I mean, that seems obvious that they're going to be out of sorts, but I don't want to promo like our preview shows too much, Joe. But had a really good friend who works like, holy crap, like you guys friggin' nailed it. Like what this game was going to be. And like, if Purdue was going to excel, they were going to excel in these areas. And if Alabama was going to excel, they were going to excel in these areas. And both things played out, right? Like Purdue was adamant, we're not going to let you get into the paint. Alabama shot a ridiculous percentage from three in the first half. That kind of played out to a different level in the second half. And our whole thing was like, Purdue should dominate in the paint. And they did, like right from the jump. And we've been wanting this so bad, Greg, so bad. Like we've seen it from Cluff in practice and scrimmage. You know, what we saw from him on tape last year, we've been wanting this so much. And right from the jump, they just punished Alabama in the paint, and they did it all night. I think they ended up, I don't remember the exact numbers, but like they punished them in rebounds. They punished them in points in the paint. They punished them all night long. And it was a long game. Like, we're going to punish you from here. Prove to us that you can beat us from three outside all night. And eventually it won out for Purdue. And it was amazing game, man. And like, it just, the more important thing to me, Greg, like as a fan of basketball, if you watch this game and you weren't just like super hyped, I don't know who you are, because this was just an amazing game of basketball from start to finish.
No question. You know, Alabama's doing it the way they want to do it. They're hunting threes at all times, but Purdue and their level of execution on the road in a tough environment was impressive. They had a few different opportunities, whether it was at the end of the first half or the start of the second half, to kind of create a little bit of distance, and they just couldn't do it, between maybe a bad decision or a mistake on Purdue's end that led to 3-pointers for Bama to get back in it. But they were just trading punches. The amount of lead changes in this game we'll get into. But, you know, it was impressive to see Purdue never shook in any moment. And, you know, I think the only two times were really Jacobsen and Omer Mayer at the free throw line. They missed their 1-and-1s in a high pressure environment. Those are tough. You're not trying to miss your free throws, but I think the pressure of the moment probably played a part in those. But then again, Jacobsen ends up hitting a free throw later. Omer Mayer, we've been wondering how he's going to find his way into this. He hits a 3 early on. He gets to his mid-range a couple times. He wasn't perfect out there by any means, but at the same time, the other point I want to make too, and I'm glad we're kind of finding our way into this as we're all very excited, and I know the chat is fired up as well, but how many times did you see last year where Braden Smith would be out for a 6-minute stretch at any point of a game that he's not in foul trouble in? And this was something I did bring up a few times last year, where is the juice worth the squeeze in terms of a guy that is fully capable of playing all 40 minutes? But there is a fatigue factor that comes into play. And instead tonight, Painter trusts his team without a potential National Player of the Year candidate for 6 minutes stretch of a road top 10 game against Alabama, and they held serve. And what happens? Braden Smith plays one of his best second half performances I've seen from him ever in a Purdue Boilermakers uniform. And so I don't know if there's an exact science to that or if that's what that means, but all I know is it bodes well for how they can approach things going forward. And I just think this team has a ton of potential in the way they all kind of came together so quickly. I mean, who knew? Kaufman-Renn, he's had his injuries. Even tonight he had to come out at one point. I don't know if it was cramping or what, but, for him to come into the lineup and immediately do what he did in the first half was so impressive. And it just opened so many things up for this offense.
Yeah. And, I think it's going to be something to monitor all season. He did sit 6 minutes in the first half. Now he sat a 5-minute stretch. We can just pull up the rotation right now as we talk about it for a sec. Anybody that is new, colored box means that player played that minutes. Don't really care. Like, some of the positions you could argue one way or the other, but it's more about just the pure minutes itself. Purdue margin at the bottom just shows plus minus for the lineup. Braden sits for a 5-minute stretch, and now that was the stretch where Mayer really kind of got going and knocked down a few jumpers. And I think that's the biggest thing. CJ and Gicarri can have the point guard responsibilities in a pinch. I don't think Painter last year was nearly as comfortable with them as he is with Mayer, and also knowing what Mayer can be at the point guard spot. Like, you do just have to get him minutes and get him reps there. But yeah, that was when he kind of got cooking. And I mean, you can see in the 6 minutes that Braden sat in that first half, Purdue was even. And if Purdue can go even, if Purdue could even staying, honestly, like going -3, like staying within a possession, if Braden sits for 6 minutes, I think that's probably still a win for the Boilermakers. And now they're able to do it, go even. And like you said, Braden took over the second half. I'm going to pull up the exact stats. Braden Smith in the second half against Alabama in 20 minutes, 21 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. He took over 21 points, 10 of 10 from the free throw line, just dominated the game. And what I mean, I'll stop talking now because I could just keep going for 35 minutes about him.
Fire away, Kraig. We did have a $2 super chat here from TD Ransfer saying, appreciate you, TD. Anybody that wants to send in a super chat, appreciate your support. We'll get your comments up here on the screen, but
Salty B as well.
Yeah, TD Ransfer says Purdue takes care of business in Tuscaloosa. And then Salty B, $5 super chat says only one team and only one fan base should be wearing those hard hats. Hammer down. So love it. It was really cool to see. I mean, there's so many things we can get into here tonight as we hit the 15-minute mark of the show. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We appreciate everyone's support to the program as we're having some fun here on a big-time win for your Purdue Boilermakers. Love seeing Braden Smith getting chirpy with the student section. That was a lot of fun. It was interesting to watch him try to figure out what he wanted to do. I mean, he had some big-time threes. Then as he was getting downhill, the presence of mind for him, that chess match of how he is able to get guys to get up in the air. And he was toying with guys at one point, and it's not easy with him, and you really feel for a defender because you're kind of put in a bind, but the way he was trying to navigate to the rim and whether he's going to dump it off or go up with it or try to get that and one, I mean, those were big moments in the game that really kind of quieted the crowd down as well. And so, I mean, this honestly could be the Braden Smith post-game show because he put on a national player of the year kind of effort here tonight.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like Braden was in his bag from start to finish. And like we talked about in the pregame show, like I just wanted Braden to show he was that killer from the jump. Like in the first two games, it felt like I'm going to facilitate. And that was fine. But in the Oakland game, like there was a lag, right? Where everybody else wasn't necessarily contributing at the level that you would expect a Purdue team to contribute against a team like Oakland. And it was like, dude, you're the killer. You are the Kobe Bryant. You are the Black Mamba. Like, take this game over. And it just wasn't happening. And Joe did be like, hey, Kraig, like, it's going to happen in the right moment. Like when we get to these bigger games, it's probably going to happen. Today it did. He came out right from the jump, knocked down a three early on, like got to his mid-range, got in there and was just like shot faking left and right, drawing people into fouls. And I thought Braden was incredible tonight, 100%.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes to show you too. I mean, all this, I get it. You want athletic players, athletic players can help you win national championships. And Alabama has some great players that can knock down threes, that have size and athleticism. It was laughable at times watching Braden take the ball up the court and the guy defending him is like a foot taller than him. It felt like, I mean, the size mismatch was different, but you know what? It comes down to execution. I don't know about you guys, and this is not too hard of a swipe at Michigan, but watching that Michigan Wake Forest game and the lack of execution, the lack of running a set, and Joe can speak to this better than I can because he understands offensive philosophy a little better. But what a mess, watching the end of that game. And it just makes me appreciate when Purdue comes up the court with a plan. And I don't want to spoil my play of the game, but at the same time, I kind of have to, because there was a moment in the 9-minute mark where they come out of a timeout, and shout out to our guy, Sasha Stefanovic, who is the inbounds offensive, kind of guy that PJ Thompson calls the offense. Sasha handles a lot of the inbounds coming out of timeouts. And they run a play where Braden Smith comes around a curl at the top of the screen. They kick it left, and then they throw the alley-oop to Daniel Jacobsen for the easy dunk. Like, that moment right there is pure execution. They're ready for it. They knew Alabama wasn't going to be ready for it. And so for me, that's what it takes. When the game, you can run up and down the court in the first half and let the threes fly. But as we saw in the second half, the game gets tighter. The game starts to slow down, and it comes down to how you can execute in the half court. The basketball demands it. The NBA level too. It can run up and down all season, but when you get into the playoffs and the NBA championship, you got to execute in the half court. And the Boilermakers always have a plan because of Matt Painter, PJ Thompson, and Sasha Stefanovic.
Yeah, and it's really impressive. And right, we have the Braden down the stretch. I think another big area that we can't forget about, and I guess I'm just going to spoil my play of the game too. We can bring him up later. Is the 3 straight possessions where TKR just facilitates out of the short roll. Gets a lob to Jacobsen. I think a kick out was in there, and I forget what the third one was off the top of my head. But just and that was when Purdue pushed the lead to 6. And honestly, if TKR didn't start presumably cramping, I don't know if they would have got closer. Like it looked very much like Purdue was just absolutely in control right there at that moment. And a lot of it was just that the pick and roll, short roll. I can get the board.
There we go. Short roll board.
Let's get the board.
I need to clean this sometime because I always just leave it from the last show, and then I get here and it's all dirty. But I mean, there's something else I want to hit on the board at some point later when we talk about defense. But right, what the possessions I'm talking about, we'll use their numbers, where it's just like this, and then you have player here, player here, player here, and then O's are defenders. And basically, what happened was, so Alabama in the second half, they were playing more in a high hedge, which Braden was so good, he just forced them to have to kind of change their defensive coverage. If Braden can turn this corner at all, it's wraps. Like it's just at that point, you're just hoping Purdue misses a wide open shot 9 times out of 10. And in he was able to kind of do that. And so now, as he's doing that, right, you have TKR here diving into like, this short roll area is like kind of in this area. So you have Braden, you have Trailer, and then generally this is like a big. As TKR gets into the spot, that little pocket, bounce pass that he throws to TKR that just seems second nature at this point. You can already see the numbers advantage, right? So now Braden or TKR has the ball here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 on 3. And so I think one time you saw, I think Jacobsen was here maybe. You saw this defender go up. That's a lob. I think one time you saw this defender tag. That's a kick out. And like I said, I don't fully remember the third off the top of my head, but you put your 2 best players in action. At that point, Bama they had already cycled through a few things that they wanted to try against Braden. They were on their like third attempt at trying to slow him down. And Purdue just has the counters to be able to do it. I mean, TKR ends with 5 assists and 2 turnovers. I'll look it up, but that feels like probably a career high in assists for him, with 3 of them, like I said. I believe it was 3 straight or 3 and 4 possessions coming out of that short roll where you just have a numbers game, and TKR is so good and so deadly with that floater. Defenses have to step up and respect that. But then that means you either have, they're either coming off of a big, which Jacobsen you can just throw near the rim, or you're coming off a 40+% 3-point shooter in the corners.
What did you say about that floater? Did you say so deadly? Oh, deadly. Okay.
Deadly.
I misheard that. I thought maybe like I was a boomer and didn't understand like some sort of new phrase.
Maybe a reference.
Not on that one.
Maybe a reference to Matthew Dellavedova, maybe potentially.
Yeah, I don't know.
There you go.
Chris Rudder-Schmidt here, $5 super chat saying, I knew Purdue was going to win when I heard Saban was in attendance. Purdue owns Nick Saban. All right. Love it. Appreciate you, Chris. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Where do you guys want to take this next? We got a little board action in here. We did the minutes. Kraig, what are you thinking?
Let's give a shout out to our sponsors first, if we can.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Purdue graduate and current Lafayette resident, BJ Rule has close to 15 years experience helping buyers, sellers, and real estate investors in Lafayette and surrounding areas. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, give BJ a call to set up an appointment to see how he can help you accomplish your goals. Your home will likely be the most expensive purchase of your life. Have the experts with Rainey & Company at Keller Williams on your side and let BJ help you navigate this process. Call 317-345-4600. Once again, that's 317-345-4600. BJ's been an absolute awesome sponsor of our show for the last 3 years now, and we are so thankful. If any of you guys are sitting out there listening to this show and you're like, hey, I have a business I want to be promoted, message Kraig, message Joe, message Greg. We can get you on board to help you sponsor the show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate BJ always and his loyalty to the program. Appreciate all of you as well. Let's do team stats before we get into individual ones, because I think rebounds are going to be a big talking point in this game as Purdue was struggling, to figure out their rebounding game. And lo and behold, I guess it took, an All-American type player and Trey Kaufman-Renn to return and things started to switch. But I think there's probably more to it than just that, in terms of their success. And you got to give this team a lot of credit. They knew that was something they needed to clean up, and they did that here today. So here are some of the team stats on the game. Unless I'm looking at this wrong. Here it is. Team comparison here. Purdue shoots 47% from the field on 31 of 66 shooting on the road. Pretty damn impressive. 43% from 3, hitting 9 threes, only 9 of 21, whereas Alabama dropped 16 threes, but on 44 3-point attempts. They shoot 42% from the field as a team as a whole. But let's get into the rest of it, where Purdue had 10 turnovers and Alabama only had 6. There was some crucial turnovers in the second half that I was worried were going to come back to haunt them. It did not. But the rebounding totals is where the story of this game is. And I promise you, Matt Painter, that's going to be the first thing he talks about. Purdue out rebounds Alabama 52-28, 33 on the defensive glass, 19 more on the offensive glass. They out rebound Alabama on the offensive glass margin 19-7, and that led to 16 second chance points for Purdue. The bench gets 20 points, fast break points, 30 points for Purdue. That's pretty good on the. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. 30 points in the paint. As I correct myself here, I apologize. They outscore Alabama in the paint 30-22. No fast break points for Purdue. So I stand incorrected there. 16 assists for Purdue, 17 for Alabama. Purdue led this game for about roughly 24 minutes to Alabama's only 7, and there were 21 lead changes in this game. So 21 lead changes, but story of the game, 52 rebounds from your Purdue Boilermakers. They dominated the glass. And honestly, yes, when you are a 3-point shooting team like Alabama is, you're going to find your way into some rebounds, but that also can turn into long rebounds. And we've seen this over the last couple games and even in the exhibition, where sometimes Purdue wasn't able to get their hands on those long rebounds that sometimes turn into 50-50 balls because of the way they carry them off the rim. But Purdue wasn't having it today. They came down with most of the loose balls.
Yeah, and you saw, I think, just from the jump, it felt like Purdue was ready to hit the glass. And I don't know if it's probably some combination of Purdue knowing they have the size advantage, TKR coming back, Cluff getting more comfortable, and I am very confident that Painter has probably brought up rebounding more than once in practice and may not have been nice about it in the way that he did. It was just really good to see right away. Like that's going to be obviously the big storyline in terms of at least like statistical output. I guess the other one would be how many threes Bama took. But it felt like Purdue got out to like a 10-1 rebounding advantage, and I do not know the stats on that, so could be way off. But it just felt like right away Purdue was getting second chance looks. They were doing a pretty good job for the most part, limiting Alabama just to one look. I mean, yeah, Bama had 7 offensive rebounds, like just a very good fight overall. I also thought the guards did better of just like getting in there. Like Benner was 1 offensive rebound, like he got in there. I thought Gicarri did good. Still a little bit like there's still a little bit of guys with like weaker hands at times, but it just felt like the fight overall was just better.
And I think like one of the things that was overlooked a little bit, and we brought it up a little bit on a couple of the shows, Joe, but like TK is so much better rebounding from the 4 spot than the 5 spot last year.
Yeah.
And when Cluff is sealing, right? When you have that big body sealing, and this was true when Zach was playing next to TK. When that big body sealing and TK can come on off the 4-man and rebound, it's different, right? Like he's not battling a 7-foot guy or a 6'11" guy. He's going one-on-one with a 4-man trying to get that rebound. He's really good at that. And he showed that tonight. Like, and I can't overemphasize like that being part of the difference tonight. Like he dominated on the boards to me.
Yeah, I think that's a really good illustration. Sir Krednick says you're right, Joe. They were up 9-2 early on, and there was a couple times where Trey Kaufman-Renn got like 2 rebounds on one possession and eventually got it in there. And he's just a scrappy guy. It makes it real difficult. So first game for these guys in regular season playing together, and I was assuming there would be more of a work in progress in terms of their chemistry. But man, just going back to my point about Oscar Cluff early on, I just loved the way he set the tone early, getting some buckets underneath. And then at the end of the game, he had a point where he got a rebound and you thought maybe he was going to kick it out. And he was like, nope, I'm going to put my power into this and nice and easy and put it in. That was another big moment in the game. Another one for Oscar Cluff that I appreciated was he could have tried to force it on a double team underneath, and I wouldn't have defined that as a bad shot. You're a big man. If you want to try to go up with it, maybe get the foul, so be it. Instead, his vision led him to the corner, kicked the corner 3 out, and they knocked down the 3 there. That was another big play that I believe was in the first half. So those guys, man, between the points they got, the vision of facilitation on passes, and then the rebounding, the bigs just had such a big night here. And Daniel Jacobsen too. Again, he looked like he was the moment was too big for him early on, and they just kept with it. And by the end of the game, he looked much calmer, and his hands were getting stronger. He had a big rebound at the end of the game where his hands looked really strong on that. And I know that's probably going to have its ups and downs all year, as he's still a freshman, redshirt freshman at least, and somebody that's going to need more time to develop those things. But what a big moment and a big stage for him to come through in some certain situations. Yeah,
and like late in the second half, Painter throws them in. I want to say it's like with 6 minutes left or so. I don't know, Joe. Like I remember typing in my notes, why are we bringing him in right now? Like, let's finish with Cluff. And then those were the best minutes DJ had the entire game.
Yeah.
Right? That was the facilitation high-low from TKR. And I'm not going to give my play away from the game. It's not the lob dunk, but it's in that stretch, right? Like, DJ played really, really good in that stretch. And more importantly, I thought that I don't know, that vibe between TKR and DJ in that stretch was huge, where they were just feeding off of each other, and TK was finding them, and DJ was finishing. And the first half, multiple times, like, we saw somebody go to him, didn't finish, misses a free throw. Into the second half, does it. So, like, props to Painter, because when he put him in that moment, I was like, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? Cluff has been dominant with TK. Like, why are we doing this? And it paid off. And more importantly than tonight, that's going to pay off in March, right? Like, when Painter trusts DJ in that moment, when he hasn't necessarily shown out yet to that, like, last stretch, you trust him, DJ shows out. That's going to pay dividends long term.
Yeah, and the trust in the first half of Omer Mayer running the show without Braden for 6 minutes, and the trust in that 6 to 4 minute stretch where Cluff, had just made a big bucket. I think he shot a free throw, and then he comes out and Daniel Jacobsen comes in. The depth showed, and they didn't even really get much run from Benner, and Liam Murphy didn't even enter this game, and maybe that is matchup dependent. But those are two guys that we're really big on, and guys that are knockdown shooters that didn't have an opportunity here tonight. So the depth is certainly something that's obviously going to be a huge strength for this team.
Yeah, definitely. And it should just keep getting better as Mayer gets more comfortable, like you said, as Cluff. Cluff has a lot of things he can also clean up. He was great today. It wasn't a perfect game from him in any capacity. Really quick on the rotation, because you brought it up, Kraig, and it reminded me. So looking at the second half specifically and Cluff's second stint, which is from the 12 to 7 minutes marks left, I was shocked that he stayed in that long. I thought he was going to play 3 to 4 and then sit for like 3 to 4 and then come back in for maybe 5. Because just one thing I've noticed through 3 games and 2 exhibitions, and maybe it's skewed a bit by a couple blowouts in there, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like they want to play Cluff for more really than 5 minutes at a time. And I don't know if I know they've run some studies on players before, like TKR and Loyer playing 30 minutes a game is after that kind of gets too much. Like, maybe they have something on Cluff where it's like 4 to 5 minutes. Like, if we can just get him a little break. So all that to say, I thought it was almost going to be flipped a bit, where Jacobsen was going to come in like 2 minutes earlier, and then Cluff was going to finish with like the 5 minute stretch. But it was actually had the 6 minutes, then came out for a few, and then played for a few more minutes. I just wanted to call that out. It's something I at least will just be keeping my eye on going forward.
Where are we at in the actual like flow of how we're supposed to do this show, Greg? Because I feel
I'm excited.
I feel like you've butchered it. I'm like, are we on player breakdowns?
I'm
we on?
Excited, dude. I mean, this isn't even my show anymore. This is your guys' show. So if we're not on script, it's because of you. It's not because of me, even though I'm the one driving the show. And so, yes, I'm sure we are completely off. I don't think
I feel like we're on player breakdowns.
No. We did the instant reactions. Then we got the board in here. Then I think we went back to instant reaction. It's too exciting. We definitely got to get to player breakdowns. I did see somebody bring up the fact that they're going to have 2 7-footers next year. We are going to try to fit that in at the end. What the Purdue class is going to look like here going forward with, 4 signees being announced yesterday. So stick with us here as we try to roll through this. It certainly is going to be a little bit of a longer post-game show, but we'll try to keep it as short as we possibly can. Before, one more thing I want to make a point before we get into individual player breakdowns is, Kraig, you brought this up on Twitter, I believe, or in our group text, but Alabama definitely deserved a lot of credit in the second half of changing their defensive intensity. And they really, they changed some things up in a big way. They forced some turnovers on Fletcher Loyer and Braden Smith at times. And so I thought Alabama, who isn't really known to be a physical team, kind of changed some of their philosophy up. They even on offense tried to get some stuff at the rim and draw some fouls. And so I think those were things that Alabama really tried. If not, Purdue might have won this game by a bigger margin. So I thought those were good adjustments by Nate Oates, but that's all I got there. If we want to run to individual breakdowns, or if Kraig, you have something to add there.
No, I thought like out of the half, it was clear that Oates had like emphasized to them, like, number one, we need more defensive intensity. Number two, we need to create physicality on the offensive end, because they came out and drew, I don't know, like 5 fouls in the first 5 minutes, Joe, something like that.
Yeah.
But it didn't last. Like I was like, okay, this is the way they're going to play now. And then it kind of died out. Like that's not who they are. Like he got them pumped up and going in that mode for a short time frame. And then it kind of died out after, I don't know, 7-8 minutes, something like that. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what to say from tonight other than, like, I'm just impressed that Purdue handled this, because I mean, Joe picked Alabama to win. I'll be honest, I picked Purdue to win because Joe and I do a preview show before every game, and I was like, well, if Joe's going to pick Bama to win, I need to be the opposite side, because I also was picking Alabama to win in my head, honestly. And, like, just everything about, like, a program that good, what are the odds you beat them 3 times in a row? I mean, like, you cover the Bears, Braggs, and like in NFL football, regardless of like how good a team is that year, just year after year after year, you think about like beating another team that is on the same level as you 3 times in a row. It just doesn't happen often.
Nope.
So like part of me was just like, no, it's not going to happen this year, because there's no way we beat them 3 times in a row. You know what I mean? Yeah,
no, I get that. I think any Purdue fan saying they felt great going into this game would have been lying to you. I mean, they fell in the polls to 2, which who cares about that? But, because they didn't look great against Oakland and didn't handle them by, 40 points the way Houston did. And so there was some questions creeping in of like, how long is this going to take to come together? I don't think anybody's questioning what they're capable in March, because we all understand what this program and Matt Painter and this coaching staff are all about. But the fact that they flipped the switch from those first 2 games to a national championship level effort in a big time top 10 matchup, again, first non-conference road win versus a top 10 team since 1982. I see here in the chat, Blaine paints 499th overall career win. It was also Fletcher Loyer and Braden Smith breaking the record for consecutive starts as a tandem first for the Purdue program. That's setting a record. They've started every game. I think it's 123 games, I believe is the number. I might be wrong there, but regardless, they've started every game since day one as freshmen here, for this Purdue basketball program. So they showed what they were all about here tonight. I had people harassing me in text before the game. Hey, I'll be watching your post-game show after they lose tonight. and Braden Smith is, overrated for National Player of the Year point guard. Yeah, all of them shut up real quick here tonight. Purdue showed what they were all about. We've seen some really good matchups this week. Some really good games. It's great to see college basketball get back underway. Michigan sneaks away in overtime. Illinois looked really good against Texas Tech, even though they let Texas Tech creep back in. They've got a lot of firepower. This is going to be a great season, but Purdue put their stamp on what they're going to be all about here tonight. So I think that's giving a lot of fans a sigh of relief of how this is all going to go forward. So with all I think that was the longest instant reaction to our shows ever, 40 minutes here to start. And now we can get into individual play and try to speed this thing up here before this becomes a 2.5-hour celebration.
Yeah. Greg, can I say something real quick about something going on in the chat right now?
Sure.
for whatever reason, like there's this big debate about sleepers going on in the chat, and like they hate Purdue, they love Purdue, blah 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 blah. Sleepers are our friends. We've done a lot of stuff with sleepers. Like I don't know what you guys are arguing about. Like nobody covers the Big Ten better in general. I mean, other than Joe on Feed the Post. Like Joe covers the Big Ten better than everybody else.
Thanks.
But outside of that, like nobody gives more attention to the Big Ten than sleepers. And sleepers have been high on Purdue since their inception, and like high on Painter and high on Purdue players. Like they're not always going to agree with us. Like we're a Purdue basketball fan cast. Like,
well, we'll always have we'll
out.
always have sleepers back here, and they're a lightning rod for conversation. They're certainly conversation starters. So people are going to have their back and forth about how they have things. The only thing I'll say is I'm getting confused at times in the chat because they're like, Greg said this, Greg said that, and I keep forgetting they're not talking about me. I'm like, wait a minute, what did I say? But it's all good. We love Greg and Carter, and they've got Braden Smith doing the running, doing the podcast with Braden, and so shout out to them. But yeah, absolutely. So appreciate everybody hanging out. Hit the like button. Let's get into individual play. Joe, I'll kind of let you steer it from here before you let me ramble for an hour and a half because I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into some of the player breakdowns here. I'll kind of leave the stats up. I think we probably haven't given TKR enough love. I feel like we've talked enough about Braden. We can add something more if we really want to. TKR had 19 points and 15 rebounds, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers, shot 9 of 16, knocked down a 3, which he looked very comfortable taking. Was just, I mean, I know he's had bigger scoring nights, but I would argue that's maybe just his best game of his career, unless I'm forgetting something. Like I know he's had a couple 30-point games and things like that, and obviously those can't be overlooked either. But when you take into account kind of magnitude of the game and the situation and his first game of the season and how he contributed everywhere on the floor, really, just really, really impressive. I talked through the short roll on the board. If we remember back to the exhibitions, we were all kind of like, hey, is like TKR's floater fine? Is this just like something random that we're going to forget about because he was just missing a bunch of them in exhibitions? The touch looked fine. I mean, how many soft bounces did he get off the board today?
He's crazy. He's crazy with that. He'll shot put it at the rim, and then it just lays up on the rim like a. I don't even know the right word for it. It's just so gentle once it hits the rim, but the delivery to the rim is so aggressive. So I don't know how he's able to find that touch. He ends up leading the team along with Braden with 34 minutes of play, 15 rebounds, and then the 5 assists certainly stand out as well in terms of what TKR. He had 17 points in the first half, only 2 in the second half. He did come out at one point with the injury. We'll see if we get an update on that. Obviously, everybody a little, makes you a little concerned just because he was out those first 2 games, and but he had that roller on his thigh there and then he was able to return to the game. So a great effort from Trey Kaufman-Renn here tonight.
Yeah, I think a large part of why that ball can just like come off the rim and sit is he basically shoots a dead ball. Like there's no really back rotation on that ball. It doesn't spin off. Like he just, I don't know. Like when he puts it up, that ball's almost dead, and it's spin rotation, and then just hits front rim, back rim, and just rolls in. But I'm with you, Joe. Like statistically, like there's no way this was his best game if you're just going to look at that. But I thought this was his most impactful game in a big type of game moment, 100%. So
Loved the intensity he showed when he threw that ball off the guy to get it out of bounds. And that was early in the first half. But I think that was one of those moments where he was like, just really imposing what he was going to be all about in this game and letting everyone know that he had returned and he has arrived. So shout out to Trey Kaufman-Renn. Love seeing that kind of fire out of him.
Yeah, and he brought it from the jump. I mean, he was part of that early onslaught of boards, like from the jump. This was not a game that Purdue was going to get behind right away because of TKR. And if we have nothing else on him, probably the next guy that we talk about is Oscar Cluff. And I know, again, we've hit on him a bit, but 9 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, no turnovers, 3 of 7 from the floor. And there was some things defensively at times I think he can clean up. And I know he missed the one layup late that was spent because of 45-minute review, it felt like. But it's just every game he's getting more and more comfortable. Like this is the Cluff that I was hoping to see at some point this season when Purdue got him. Like he'll have a couple games, I'm sure, where he goes for 15 or 20, but really more of just like get a couple buckets around the rim and rebound incredibly well and bring the physicality, just things that Purdue frankly didn't have last season at the big spot, and then felt like Cluff brought them in droves today.
No, I mean in the first 2 possessions, Joe, like we talked about in the previous show, like Purdue has to assert their physicality down low. And those first 2 possessions, he scores back to back, right? He scores the first 4 points, rebounding physically right away. And I'm like, we're winning this game. Like if this is who Cluff is going to be tonight, we are going to win this game. And just like, you need to see that, like, just go assert. You are a big body. You've got that mass, you've got that size, just go assert your physicality. And it didn't show through quite as much in the second half necessarily, but nonetheless, I thought, I'm with you. Like right from the jump, TKR did, but I thought Cluff did too, of just like, I'm going to bully ball you down low, and there's no way we win this game without that bully ball.
Well, and I think also down the stretch, whether it was TKR or Jacobsen or Cluff, dominating the glass and dominating that presence down there, it caused a lot of fouls. You know, they got into the 1-and-1 quickly, Purdue did, and then they got into the double bonus just as fast. And once you got to that point and you're under 10 minutes and the leads change keeps going back and forth, at one point, Alabama takes their biggest lead of the night at 4. Purdue gets their biggest lead of the night at one point at 6, but then it's tied and it's the ebb and flow. But the one thing that was consistent was Purdue kept getting to the free throw line without having to get the ball across half court, because on the rebounds, they're getting fouled. They're dragging Cluff down. They're dragging Daniel Jacobsen down. And so they just really didn't have an answer for that. And then even on the offensive side of the ball, at one point, pushing Daniel Jacobsen in the back when maybe he didn't need to, because they're going to get the offensive rebound. That was giving them fits, and to me was also a big thing in terms of weathering the storm, because there was a few moments where it felt like Alabama was going to take the momentum and they weren't able to because of those fouls.
For sure. And right, that's part of what Cluff needs to bring to this team, is just that type of ability, and Jacobsen too. Also just, I mean, really between both Cluff and Jacobsen, like they give TKR an option too in some of the post-ups, and where right early in the game, Bama was doubling from the baseline. And I mean, the one pass, it wasn't a good decision, truthfully. And I honestly don't even remember how the play ended. I just remember TKR was like trapped pretty close to the perimeter, it felt like. And he just kind of like lobbed it over, and you just saw Cluff rise up and just grab it. And honestly, I don't even remember if Cluff shot it or not. I just remember the pass being like, man, that was like, I don't know, a 30-foot pass across from post to post. I don't maybe recommend that pass all the time, but just having that ability of giving different looks, like the one where TKR does hit Cluff on the where he gets doubled, it was Bama doubles baseline, you rotate down and you have Loyer weak side corner. That's 2-on-1. And basically TKR had his choice between throwing it to Cluff at the rim or kicking it to Loyer, depending on what the defense did, and got the easy look. So there's just even some of the things like that don't always show up in the box score. Cluff is starting to bring those.
Yeah. And I also, go ahead, Kraig.
I was just going to say, I remember the exact play you were saying where TK just kind of like, because when he threw it up, I was like, what are you doing? And then Cluff just like somehow swallowed it up, and he missed the shot. He didn't make the shot because I was like, man, that's going to be beautiful if he actually makes that. And then he missed the bunny. But no, I think they're starting to figure it out. And we're going to get into some more of the big to big stuff. At least I am, because my play of the game was a big to big pass, like late in the second half, that is going to seem inconsequential, but for me, that was the play of the game. So,
well, I think the other thing too that we have to consider is like this game, I think, was tailor made for Trey Kaufman-Renn and Oscar Cluff, because their bigs don't want to hang out down low. Like, especially for their bigs on the offensive side, they're hanging out at the 3-point line and knocking down some big shots at times. So, there will come a point where Purdue plays teams with bigs that do want to anchor down low, and Purdue's going to have to answer to that physicality. I think the only other thing that I think they're still working through is, when Cluff or TKR get a good seal where you'd think in normal days of, whoever it is, Travion Williams or Zach Edey, that they immediately throw it in and get that easy bucket. There's still some hesitation there, and Braden choosing to kind of keep it and do what he's trying to do. So, you saw that at the end of the game at one point where you say, Braden said, get out the way. I think they were going to throw it into TKR, but he couldn't really establish that post presence. So then there was 10 seconds on the shot clock. He steps back and says, everybody get out of the way. I'm going to do my thing here. So they have those options, but I think as the season progresses, they're going to have another layer of this offense where when they do get those seals, they're able to manufacture a clean pass and a clean look in to get to manufacture some of those easier buckets. So, all right, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, we're 52 minutes in and we've gotten through 2 players. So,
well, luckily, I think there was only 7 guys in the rotation. So,
no, there was more than that. But anyway, go ahead.
I mean, is there more to add for Braden? Do we want to hit on him, or we talked about him for 15 minutes?
I'll just say that we could read his stats, and make sure everyone kind of understands. 29 points on the day from 7 of 19 shooting, 5 of 10 from 3-point land, 10 of 12 from the line. He did have those 2 misses at the free throw line, but they were able to get the rebound on that, but that was not like him. 7 rebounds, only 4 assists on the night. He had 3 fouls early on in the second half, and you were wondering, how they, I guess on the broadcast they were asking how they were going to, kind of work through that. But, Painter's always going to trust his guy. He doesn't get another foul the rest of the half and plays, I believe, the entirety of the second half as he, shares the lead in minutes with TKR with 34 on the day. So I don't really have anything else to add other than everything we said at the beginning. Kraig, I know you kind of jumped in later, so if you got anything, I think maybe you can kind of close the door on National Player of the Year effort here early on in this season.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that start because I didn't hear you talk about Braden from the jump, but one of the things that we talked about in the pregame show was preview show was be a killer, Braden. Go be your killer self. And we hadn't seen that in the first 2 games. We hadn't seen that in the exhibition. And I think Joe and I both were he's trying to just, it's not that important yet. He's trying to get everybody else involved. It'll happen when it happens. But you don't know. You don't know for sure that it can happen again when it has to happen. And he reminded us all tonight that it can happen anytime he wants it to happen. So Braden went out, was a killer from the start tonight, was a killer all the way through the game. National Player of the Year. It's going to happen. I know you said only 4 assists, but he has to do that because there's going to be games where they try to take his passing away. There's going to be games where they try to take his shooting away. And tonight was the night where they tried to take his passing away. Don't let those kick out threes run everybody off the 3-point line. And Braden just responded by being like, I'm going to kill you by scoring. And that's what makes him special, because he doesn't have an entrenched thought in his head of I have to do it this way. He's just going to take whatever. And quite frankly, Greg and Joe both, like both of these teams, I thought tonight were incredible about like, your defense wants to take us away from this, so we're going to do this at a really high level. And both offensives did that for a very, very long time, all night tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, between the cold-blooded 3-point daggers with 10 minutes to go or less, the way he was coming around, you saw Joe, a lot of the double big man screens at the top of the key would start with one on that pick and roll, but then there was the second big that I feel like I haven't seen that much of that layer of Painter's playbook in the past. I always felt like it's like one big at the top in a screen and roll. But this time there was multiple times I saw the double screen with the big, then he'd come back around and then, either take the three or get downhill. And like I said, he was, a technician in terms of getting guys up in the air and getting those fouls drawn. The only two bad decisions that I was like worried were going to be highlighted on this post-game show if they had lost were, I felt like there was 2 times he could have gone up with the layup, but was trying to give the pass. And one of them in particular where he tried to like jam it into Daniel Jacobsen, that like, I couldn't believe he tried to throw that in there. That was crazy. And then there was another point in the game that I'm trying to search my thoughts on where he was hunting for the fadeaway shot after he had hit the 2 free throws and then hit the 3. He was hunting for that mid-range fadeaway, and I felt like he was forcing it a little bit in that moment. But at the same time, because he was trying to take over the game, you'll hear no complaints out of me out of that. But like to me, those were kind of 3 of the moments where I was like, oh, like you just always want a bucket, and they weren't able to get those in those moments, but they persevered at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I know exactly kind of well, I don't know about the fadeaway one, but the other ones I do know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, but Bama, with how they played their defense, and we talked about it in the preview show too. It's just like they want to play drop coverage and they want to limit threes. Now Braden's so good against drop coverage, TKR is so good. They had to switch that up where they're high hedging, they're switching. That's kind of how you honestly have to try to guard Braden, is just give him different looks, because if you let him be comfortable against one look, he is just, even if he doesn't, maybe he misses a couple shots early, it's going to work eventually. Yeah, no, it was just really, really impressive stuff. You're continuing to see a little bit more pick and roll development between him and Cluff, him and Jacobsen. I know, like you said, the double big where you have one big set the screen and then either like dive and trying to look for like a seal for TKR right there. I also like, I mean, this is we're getting detailed, but when Bama was in their high hedge, which was a good chunk of the second half, with Edie specifically, and TKR, I guess some last year, but with Edie especially, their automatic was to set a screen for Braden, big would high hedge, and immediately flip it and rescreen. Because if that happens, like the big is already drawn out, so then they rescreen and Braden has a runway to work with. They started to go into that a little bit with Cluff, and there's just some there's got to be improved timing and comfortability with that, but liked seeing that aspect as well from Braden and Cluff, and that's maybe to round off Braden, TKR, and Cluff is like, especially Braden and Cluff, they have played now 3 regular season games together. Like,
right.
In theory, it should the chemistry should only be getting better from here. So, and that's I would say the theme for this whole win is Purdue did not. I'll reiterate, Purdue did not play their A+ game. They just didn't, and they were still able to go on the road and pick up a big time win in a big time environment. In large part because they have 2 All-Americans, and I looked it up and I wanted to make sure I called this out. Per KenPom, they are 8th in the country in minutes continuity from last season. So they brought back the 8th most minutes, and they are 20th in the country in D1 experience. That's going to help you win some of these ball games. Let's see. Bama's pretty old too, but they're 60th. So Purdue being in those spots, and being in this spot early, it's just only going to help in the future. Yeah, I got nothing else on the 2 All-Americans and then Cluff.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on here. Roll things along here. Hit that like button while you're hanging out here on the Boilers in the Sands post game show. We appreciate everybody here.
Yep, for sure. 1 hour in. Yeah, definitely throw a comment down there. Let us know that you are in here. We do appreciate everybody tuning in that's still active and listening. I think we could probably group a couple players together. I guess Mayer we probably should talk about individually, but CJ and Gicarri, is there any objections to kind of grouping them together?
Sure.
I think we have to talk Mayer individually because I thought he showed some things tonight that he hadn't shown before, honestly.
Well, let's just go to Mayer then. He had 4 points, or is that right? No, that's Gicarri. 7 points, 2 assists in this game. Plays a 17 minutes, which I believe is a season high, or I don't actually. It felt like he played a lot more, at least a lot more meaningful minutes than he had. Knocks down a 3, gets a couple jumpers. Kraig, throw it to you then. Like, what were your kind of thoughts on what Mayer showed in his best game in a Purdue uniform so far?
I mean, to me, like, it's defensively, right? Like, how can he hold up defensively? Because we know what he can bring offensively, and it can come in spurts because Mayer is a volume shooter. And tonight, like, it was pretty balanced. Like, he shot well without a high volume of shots, and that's what you want to see from him. But I think he stays on the court when he's okay defensively. And for me, the gap tonight between him and Gicarri and CJ wasn't like drastically different. And then he's bringing what he's bringing offensively to the court. So to me, that's why he got more minutes. And like, if that trends up, and I know I've been trying to temper everybody's expectations since like summer on Mayer. Like, I've been like, hey, like, slow down. Like, he's going to take some time to figure this out, figure out what he has to do, figure out the defensive rotations, everything else. But like, I honestly, like, there was a play right at the end of the first half where it's going to the buzzer. I thought he was tremendous defensively on that play. And that wasn't all night. Like, he had some mistakes, but like, he's showing up defensively to me in this game more than anything else. And that's what's going to get him on the court. And like, if he can show, like, I'm not that big of a drop off from CJ or Gicarri if I'm on the court defensively, that's what's going to get him on there. And his offensive, like, upside compared to those two, like, I don't know, man. Like, he's coming along faster than I thought he would, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I thought it would take longer than what it has for him to start to figure that side of the ball out.
And I think a big thing that stood out to me today is he can just be good enough on ball. And you alluded to it. Right. Still definitely a drop off from CJ and Gicarri, but like, it wasn't like, oh,
holy, hey, we got to stop. Somebody gave us a $49.99 tip. We have to stop everything and give it to him right now.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much for the super chat tippet. And everybody, I know there's a few more super chats in there we'll get to as well here shortly. But thank you very much, Tippett, and everybody here tuning into the program. Appreciate you very much. But yeah, go ahead and finish your thought here on Omer, because I definitely have a couple thoughts too.
Yeah. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Everybody giving support. But yeah, Mayer, like, on ball, he was good enough, and off ball, there's still some work to be done, and as is the case for probably every Purdue defender, probably. But if he can be good enough on ball specifically, where he can be that jammer and take that lead responsibility, that's when he really can, like you said, get more minutes alongside Braden Loyer, because you're not that's if CJ and Gicarri are going to do one thing, it's going to be defend on ball. Like, that's what they have to do. So it was very good to see that. I also think, right, getting him in rhythm a little bit, he's probably somebody that just needs to see one drop, and then he can kind of be more comfortable. Yeah. I think the next evolution or next step for him, in addition to just one, getting more comfortable, making this, be a more consistent output, is I think right now he's trying to find the balance between facilitating and scoring. Mm-hmm. And you hit on it early in the show, Braggs, with Braden just like he just knows exactly what he needs to do at any given moment of, hey, I need to get guys involved. Hey, I need to score. I think Meyer's still figuring out how to thread that needle, and it's going to take time. It took Braden, I would say, probably at least a full year, if not two. It's going to take Meyer some time to get there, but that feels like the big hurdle to me right now offensively. It's just like getting him a little bit more in flow and just letting him go, not letting him go hoop, but him being able to just go hoop and not have to think as much.
He's not afraid to hunt his shot. I mean, no. and you guys have called this, Kraig's, I've heard said it a few times. He's automatic in that mid range. When he goes and finds that spot in the mid range, like I'm very impressed with how smooth that stroke looks. He knocked out a big three to get started, but those two mid range shots were the more impressive things to me, because I start to visualize a guy kind of like Jaden Ivey almost, in a sense, that when he's kind of running that, screen and roll and they drop coverage, bang, knockdown. And this is a guy that is, getting his first playing time, on this stage. But as somebody just said in the chat a minute ago, like, you forget that while he is still very young at age, he played professional basketball. And when he shoots with that kind of rhythm and confidence, you see that professional side in him. But you're right. Like, the questioning of how he needs to play as a facilitator or a shooter, I think also leans into, making sure he's doing right by the coaching staff and not trying to over hunt for his shot. Because at one point in transition at the end of the first half, I thought they had an opportunity to maybe extend the lead to 5 or 6 right before halftime, which I thought would have been big momentum. And he pulls up for a deep three in transition. And I was like, what? If it goes down, you're loving it, but it doesn't, and you're like, what are you doing? No. Don't do that, But I would want to know specifically from Painter if he was mad about that shot or not, or does he have enough trust in him as a prolific shooter that he can take that shot? I would think the answer is no, just because of the moment in the game, like where you're at in Alabama, you're trading punches, that possessions are so important, but at the same time, he's not afraid to shoot. So I do think that, as this season continues, you're going to see some games where they just start letting him go to work in that mid range until the other team can stop it. Kind of like maybe even a Jalen Hood Shafino type of, ability in terms of just knockdown after knockdown in the mid range shot game. That
I mean, I think the best example is Carson Edwards' freshman year, because Carson became Carson his sophomore and junior year, right? Like, and Carson needed volume, and that's like Meyer is a guy who needs volume typically. So when I saw that first shot go down, I was like, hell yes, because he's one of those guys. If that first shot goes down, like you're in for it, right? And like, there's going to be some other games where that first shot doesn't go down, and then it might be like 0 for 3, 0 for 4, and then might hit 1 or 2 at the end of the night type of thing. But he's a rhythm shooter. He's a volume shooter. So if that first one goes down, that rhythm shooter nature, like, it's going to continue. Today was great. Today was great. I don't want to oversell it and say, like, I think this is going to be who Meyer's going to be every single big game. But today it was great. And I think next year, when he's got more of a lead role and can fight through missing 2 or 3 shots to start, then like we're going to see that consistency over 10 shots, right? Like, he's not going to always have 10 shots this year, but I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying, Joe, about that?
Yeah, it's going to be more sporadic, and there's going to be a game he might go 0 for 2, and then the next game he'll go 5 for 7. He's
right.
Maybe he'll probably get a little bit more volume than CJ did last year, but it'll be kind of like that where, right, we know CJ randomly could go for a big night, and other nights was a little bit more quiet. So no, I definitely get what you're saying, and as it's going to be fun to be able to watch him develop over the course of his career and over the course of the season, because as you said, this is one game. Like, it's very good to be excited. It was very good to see these positives. It does have to, turn it into 2 games and 3 games and kind of carry it on from there. So,
right.
If we have no other thoughts, or Braggs, looks like you do, maybe.
Nope, I don't. You guys are good to roll.
All right, let's jump to the 2 guards, the 2 sophomore guards, CJ and Gicarri. 3 points for CJ, 2 rebounds. In 23 minutes, Gicarri 4 points, knocks down a 3, 4 rebounds, and a turnover and a steal. Offensively, right, just not involved much. CJ's take was really nice, kind of that secondary action where he just goes baseline, gets the and one. I mean, it's gonna be a point of emphasis for when I go back and rewatch this game. Like watching live, it didn't feel like the on-ball defense was terrible, and it didn't feel like it was elite, but also they had the Phylon matchup a lot, and we'll pull up the split stats here. LeBaron Phylon for Alabama only has 11 points on 14 shots. He does have 7 assists, but 4 turnovers. He was like the big player I would say I was concerned about, and CJ and Gicarri did a good enough job slowing him down. So I don't know. They did their role. Nothing stood out too crazy one way or the other, I guess, to me. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I think maybe the only time I really thought was when Fletcher turned that ball over up 5. And, you know, I love Fletcher, but we have talked about what is the best lineup for the end of the game. And then in that moment, I'm like, you know, maybe Gicarri needs to be the guy in that moment just because he's a little stronger, you know, with the basketball and has a little stronger, you know, size and physicality there. But CJ Cox had that big and one at one point. The reviewed play, even though it didn't go Purdue's way, I thought that was really heads up play by CJ Cox, kind of knife in there. And that could have potentially been a huge play had he got it off his fingertips. The review thing was crazy to me. I think ultimately they did get the right call, but the amount of time it took for them to get to it kind of irritated me to the point where it's like, all right, if it takes you this long to figure it out, then what was the call on the court? But I understand how important that possession was, so they certainly wanted to take their time and make sure they got it right. And
they took their time. That's for sure.
Oh my goodness, they took
their time.
But you know, Purdue didn't let it phase them. So, yeah, I don't really have any overarching thoughts about either of them. You know, that they're you know, we always want to see more production out of them, and it just wasn't their night in that regard.
Kraig. Anything, Kraig?
I was responding to a chat about me freezing up on video because, like, it's. So
I thought you were frozen at that point. It was either that or you were about to fall asleep. From my rambling.
It's so freaking frustrating because, like, I'm on freaking fiber and like I'm plugged in the Ethernet cable and everything should be good, and I don't understand why it's like my video is freezing up. But my audio is good from what I understand, and like
you're doing great. We're proud of you.
More importantly, I'm not a pretty face. Pretty face. Sorry, Greg is the pretty face, not me. I just have pretty words. So like audio is good enough for me as long as we look at that. So that's all I got. You guys keep moving because I have no idea what you said because I was responding to people saying I was freezing up.
No, it's fine. We'll make it work. We'll get everything situated. It's just how it goes sometimes with live programming. So, all right, let's finish this thing off. Who else we got?
I don't think there's anything really to say about Benner. Plays 6 minutes. His rebound was really nice. I will give him credit for that. There was some comments about him being minus 14. Plus minus for an individual game generally means nothing. You have to put a lot of context around it for it to actually mean something. I think he came in and Bama hit 3 straight threes, and I don't even know if one of them that was his fault. So like, to me, it doesn't matter really that he was minus 14 in 6 minutes. Just kind of random variance, unfortunately, going his way. Jacobsen's the only other guy we haven't hit on, unless there's somebody that I've missed.
Fletcher, he hit a big 3 at the end of the game. But we can go to Jacobsen.
Yeah, no, we'll round out with Loyer. And we got some comments too, I know, to get to. But Jacobsen, 9 points, 4 of 6 from the floor, 5 rebounds, 2 of them being offensive, an assist, and a turnover in 16 minutes. We hit on this earlier in the show. I thought Jacobsen that first half wasn't good. And then similar to what Kraig said, it was like, okay, Jacobsen's coming in closer down the stretch, like just kind of survive. And he ended up being very productive in those minutes. So just continuing to grow. He just has to keep getting stronger hands, keep being willing to fight, keep figuring things out. First half, I'm looking up his splits. He had 2 points and 1 rebounds. And then in the second half, he had 7 points and 4 rebounds. So, you know, even if that's what he's able to do is just give you good spurts like that, That's solid for Purdue right now.
Yep. No, I thought I've kind of made my points about Daniel Jacobsen earlier in the show, and I thought he showed a lot of moxie in the second half to bounce back from looking like he was overwhelmed in the first half, and the hands got stronger. That's something I keep seeing everyone say, not just us. I don't think that's a reinventing the wheel thought with him. His hands at times aren't always perfect, where you'd like it to be. Trey Kaufman-Renn at one point tried to throw him a pass as a bounce pass, and I was mad at Jacobsen for not corralling it, but then they panned to the bench and the coaches were all pointing up at Trey Kaufman-Renn, like throw it up to him. So I was like, all right, never mind. That probably wasn't on him there. I think most of the time they want Jacobsen receiving the ball up top like that. And as the game wore on, you saw Jacobsen make some big plays when they executed, including what is going to be my play of the game, as I've already spoiled it like 3 times. So Fletcher Loyer, let's finish it off here. 7 points on the game. He did get, 31 minutes of action. He's always somebody that's going to demand gravity his way, but wasn't able to really, have the kind of scoring output he had in those first 2 games, but he hit a big time 3 in the second half with less than 10 minutes to go, I believe, to re-give them a 3-point lead. It was either that or to tie it, but it was a big shot. I think it was to go up 3. I don't know if
I'm looking it up right now.
If you're looking the game log, but that was an Onions moment where you had Trey Kaufman-Renn make a big play, you had Braden hit a 3, and then Fletcher hits a 3. And the thing I yelled out sitting in my living room watching the game with my wife, I was like, "That's our seniors. That's what it's all about." These guys showed huge moxie at the end, including Fletcher Loyer's 3, even though he didn't have a 20-point performance.
And on that, and if you just said this because I was mainly listening, but I missed a couple of your words. So Loyer goes up, he knocks it down to go up 6 with 5:39 left. That was the stretch of TKR 3 straight assists. And as you say, the seniors, if I recall that play correctly, it was a high pick and roll between Braden Smith and TKR. And then Braden passes it to TKR, one senior to another. Then TKR kicks to the last senior Loyer, and knocks it down. So again, and we've brought this up before, Loyer's mistakes are generally very, very loud, like getting stripped at half court with nobody around you. It doesn't mean and I think it can skew how people view his games at some point. This wasn't like an awesome Fletch game by any means, but it is like he probably was a little bit better than what he'll be recognized for, just because, like I said, I think that, and there was like one pretty blatant defensive lapse where it's just like, they're incredibly noticeable when he does make those mistakes.
Yeah. The other thing too is he got fouled a couple times at the end of a shot. One that he made, that was a foul where the defender got underneath his feet before he landed. He hit that shot, and that should have been an and 1. And so that angers me. But outside of that, big time 3 and a big moment there for Fletcher Loyer. So doesn't seem like Kraig, you got anything to add there? Good to roll.
I'm good to roll. I'm still concerned about my video freezing. So.
Don't worry about
you're
it.
good. And your audio's fine.
We're hour 20 in. We'll deal with that here in a little bit.
At this point, if you're watching, you are a true Boilers in the Stands fan. We do appreciate. So
yeah. Don't worry about it.
Make sure to hit the like and subscribe.
Are we gonna get to play the game and player of the game? Are we doing that? Let's do it. Let's do it, Brax.
We got comments, we got play of the game, and we got player of the game here coming up. I will also add in, we got over 500 people watching on YouTube, but we have over 3,000 people watching live, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. We streamed all 3 different platforms. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. Anyone on YouTube that hasn't hit the like button on the show, please, if you're still watching, that's the easiest way to show your support to our show. That's going to just boost the algorithm to many other fans that may not have found us yet, and kind of help build this community. And if you are watching on Twitter or Facebook, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, please, and hit the like on this show. And that's another very easy way you can show your support to us. Search Brags in the Stands, which is the umbrella of the network, but Boilers in the Stands. If you search that, you'll find our channel as well. So without further ado, play of the game. Me and Joe have already spoiled ours, so I'll just go first. But They come out of a timeout in a big moment with about 10 minutes to go in the second half as they're trading punches between Alabama, and they draw an out of bounds play that goes right into their bread and butter of a high pick and roll. And then I believe it's short rolls or a kick to Trey Kaufman-Renn, which then leads to the quick alley-oop to Daniel Jacobsen. And the execution and precision of that play was just, to me, the spotlight moment of this game of, okay, Alabama, you can hunt for your threes, but this team is going to continue to execute. So you either hit your threes and win this game, or Purdue's going to keep coming down this court and doing those kind of plays on you. And of course, the light went off after it went off that it was an inbounds play. And everybody knows how much this is Sasha Stefanovic, Pom Pom Network, because we love our guy Sasha. But I was very proud of him in that moment because I know that was a play that he drew up. So shout out to our guy Sasha as well, but shout out to the team for executing in a big time moment. Go ahead, Joe, because Craig's the only one that hasn't revealed.
Yeah, mine it's like a 3-play stretch. It's the 3 straight TKR short rolls. I believe 1 or 2 was a lob to Jacobsen, 1 was a kick out to Loyer, like we mentioned. That was what pushed the game to I think like 6 points or 8 points right in that area right before TKR got hurt for a second. Just felt like a massive swing, and they sprinkled in a stop or 2 in between. It just felt like that was, if I was to attribute the win to one individual section of the game, which you can't do, it would be that little section.
All right, Craig.
Your high-low action was TK to Daniel for the dunk?
His, yeah.
Mine
was, I'm taking 3 plays. It was...
Well, you all stole my thunder. God damn it. I shouldn't have said that on there.
You're fine.
But anyway, so mine was going to be like, there was a play where TK throws that lob to Daniel. He gets the dunk. But more importantly to me was he came right back that next play. He did it 2 plays in a row. It was that next play where he trusted DJ again. And to me, like, if this team is going to go next level, it has to be about more than the big 3. So he throws that lob to DJ. DJ gets the dunk, comes right back down the next play, throws it to him, and the DJ has that little turnaround, like little hook shot, does it again. Like, as dumb as that seems, like simple, basic play, it was more about me, the fact that the big 3 trusted him in that moment, like under 5 minutes, to go to him again to get that little hook shot. That's my play of the game for who this team can be long term.
Absolutely. So as we're trying to quickly move things along here to try to avoid the 2-hour post-game show, the player of the game for me, rocking the Slam U shirt, Braden Smith, easy money. What a second half. Arguably his best 20 minutes he's played in a Purdue basketball uniform. He was just a magician out there, a technician, and just did so many great things that we've already illustrated here tonight. You could have made an argument the play of the game was that moment where he cleared everybody out with 10 seconds on the shot clock and then drew that 5th foul on Bull. And that was just an illustration of just how he had Alabama on a string. He had that ball on a string, and he had Alabama, and he was toying with them at times and letting the student section know as well. I did see some people here in the chat, Salty B, asking where can we get the t-shirt brags. Obviously Slam U has the shirts. Olivia adds in that she heard maybe bookstore, but it was selling out fast. I purchased mine at Mackey Arena for the last home game against Oakland. There was a lot available when I got it. I don't know how the supply is going to go for that. But Rowlett adds in that it's a $40 t-shirt online at Slam U. So show your love, man. It's a sweet shirt, and I picked it up. I had to make sure I got mine as we make our trek to Indy for the Final Four national championship, and Braden makes his national player of the year push. And I believe in this kid, man. He's a cold-blooded killer, and it was fun to watch him show Alabama what he was all about tonight. Craig, do you want to take player of the game this time? We'll let Joe finish up this one.
No,
Craig,
I'm going to go last. I want to go
I
last.
was going to go last. We did decide last post game show without you, Craig, that you.
I know. No, I listen.
Player. Okay.
I listen to all of our shows, Joe.
Okay.
I
so
listen,
I mean,
so
I don't. But
I heard your preview show was great. I almost watched it on the way to Chicago, but I heard you guys were.
Greg doesn't watch them all. Joe doesn't watch them all. I'm the only one who actually watches all of our shows. So
You're doing
that's
great.
good to know. Yeah.
Well, I guess I figure it's between two players. I'll go with TKR then. Obviously, 19 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers. Monster on the glass, energy right away. I don't know if we need to expand, right? TKR looked like an All-American, straight up. He just looked like an All-American.
Welcome back, Trey Kaufman-Renn, no doubt. Big time plays from him tonight. And then fighting through at the end with, being injured or whatever happened with him.
Yeah.
You're up, Kraig, Mr. Lagman.
So you get F off, man. I'm so ticked off. I'm on fiber, dude.
You're
I should be fine.
I'm just teasing you.
All right. So you guys took TKR and Braden, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I'm taking Cluff. And that was my, honestly, through the first half, that was my pick. And I mean, obviously TKR and Braden mean more to this team than anybody else. They're going to all year. But Joe, we talked about this in the summer. The swing for this team is how good Oscar Cluff can be. Can he be dominant rebounding? Can he be dominant as a physical force in the post? And the first 2 games said no. The first 2 exhibition games said no. He came out tonight and was physical from the jump. He ends up with 11 rebounds. He ends up getting 9 points. Gets 4 right off the jump in terms of points to start that game. I think as he continues to get more comfortable, he missed a couple of shots in there where I'm he gets a little bit more comfortable playing against physicality. Those are going to go in, So I'm going to go with Cluff.
Okay, and from the chat as their nomination from Andrew Short, player of the game is Smith, but let's give Matt Painter credit. 3-0 versus Nate Oates and able to continually flip games
Crazy.
To play at Purdue pace, plus the complete flip and rebounding effort during the week. And 100%, man, Painter said, that's why they go to Kentucky for the exhibition. That's why they schedule tough non-conference teams, even those early ones that are somewhat more of the cakewalk type games. Oakland is a talented team, and Oakland challenged them, but then that gets Purdue back to the drawing board on what they need to fix. And it looked like they addressed some things tonight in a big, big way. So there's the nomination from the chat from Andrew Short. Quickly, I'm going to roll through every one of these chats that we highlighted, but it's going to be a rapid fire. David Dillman.
I'm just going to jump in now because there's going to be 1 or 2 that I want to stop with.
That's fine. 100%. You guys, when you want, just jump in there, but let's try not to do all 26 and thoughts. David Dillman says, can we get a shout out for the unis? These are so clean. Absolutely. Yeah. They were awesome. The black script jerseys were awesome. I am a Saluki saying 52-28 rebound advantage. Woof. Absolutely. We got Carter here, or AirTech says the new black script jerseys are available for purchase on Purdue NIL store now, in case anyone was wondering. SLK and also jumping in saying those uniforms were the best. Nothing to see here says I would not have guessed that we actually shot a higher 3-point percentage than them. That's true. It's a good underlining, even though Alabama. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to jump in. Bama 10 of 21 from 3 in the first half, 47.6%. Second half, 6 of 23, 26.1%. I didn't fully send the text. We were texting at halftime a little bit, us 3, and talking about the defense. And I do want to talk about the defense in a second more. Kind of giving up a lot of threes. I almost said it was their best defensive half of the season, even though they gave up 41 points, just because it was Taylor, Bowen knocks down. He goes 2 of 3 from 3. Their bigs go 2 of 3. Other bigs go 2 of 3 from 3. There, another forward goes 1 of 2. It was aside from Holloway cooking, like it was shots that you just have to live with. And second half, it kind of reverses a bit where Bowen goes 1 of 3 and Noah Williamson goes 0 of 2. Their bigs go like 1 of 7 combined. So it just eventually I figured it would flip. I also I didn't quite have the courage to say at that point that it was their best defensive half of the season because, they gave up 41 points.
And like coming into this game and what we talked about in the previous show is like we were scared as shit that like Phylon and Holloway were going to kill us in the paint.
Yeah,
and they did none of that in the first half. Like they did none of that. Like Phylon was terrible in the first half, and like Holloway was good, but it was all from outside. Like they weren't getting in. And when you get in the paint, like just to be clear, if you're getting in the paint, whether you're scoring or not, then you force Purdue into all this help defense and everything else, and like they just, I don't know, it didn't feel like they ever triggered that necessarily.
And
live by the 3, die by the 3.
That was the one. I kind of looked through the rest of the comments we have started, and I don't think I'll have really more tangents, but I do want to bring this up, and we're going to go back to the board really quick.
We got
I
a
know
board.
everybody's upset an hour and a half in.
Let's go.
Double board.
Hour and a half in board.
So looking at Purdue's defense, right, they gave up, or Alabama shot 44 threes and only 22 twos, and compared to 2 years ago, it's very similar in that game in Toronto. We brought up some on the preview, right, that Bama was just going to spam pick and rolls. They have dudes that can get downhill. Phylon, Holloway, like they were real threats. And we know Purdue's perimeter defense, CJ and Gicarri are good. Mayer showed some signs, but like it's not their strong suit. And basically what Purdue did defensively was, so as Alabama has the ball, they're the X's, O's is the defense right here. This is generally going to be Cluff or Jacobsen. They were in a drop coverage today. So as this ball is coming off, that means that this big is just going to drop back. Their goal is to keep these two in front. Now, what was interesting and why there were so many corner threes was Purdue was incredibly bent on we are not allowing like shots at the rim. We are not allowing shots inside the paint. Bama only took 14 shots at the rim all game, and I would bet 3 or 4 of those came in transition. Some teams in drop coverage, so I'm just going to kind of move the possession along where it's like this. You have the trailer, some big. If this big's in drop coverage, some teams will have this guy stay here, and Bama does this where they just don't want to give up that skip, and that's part of why Braden had to be a scorer. Purdue, bent on taking away the paints, is they dug this guy in a lot. Like he was oftentimes here or right here, one of those two kind of like somewhere in this area, and that's where those skips can happen. Now, I think it's a fair debate of whether that should happen or not. I'm just guessing at Painter's thought process of like live with some of the role players taking and making threes. If it happens, live with it and you move on. But do not let this guard get to the rim at all costs. And so, right, this defense has played more hedge throughout the early part. We're in game 3, the first 2 games of the season. This one was a lot more not a lot. It was all drop coverage between Cluff and Jacobsen, but that where they positioned that low man, that's who the low man is. This defender. Oops, wrong way. There we go. This defender right here. That's called the low man. They had him really far in the paint and not staying on the corner, and that's maybe not why all of the threes went up, but it is it was part of Purdue's game plan to allow as many threes. Now, there are things they can improve with closeouts and different things like that for sure, but I really think Painter probably wasn't like incredibly mad with the defensive performance in the first half. I would guess, just because it's kind of what they were wanting.
That was
just happened
schematically. I know schematically, Joe. I saw exactly what you did.
There you go.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is
I hope people watching understand I'm being sarcastic because Joe's a savant. But anyway.
Yeah, I would just say there are a few times where I want to see a little bit more of little more gusto on a closeout, even if you're making sure you're not going to let your guy past you. But CJ Cox, there was a couple times in the first half where I felt like he could have advanced on the shooter when he knows he's going up with a little more intensity. And there was a couple times where Jacobsen, I felt like, was a little back, and it's like, hey man, get up a little more, just a little more. I understand you don't want your guy to beat you, but I thought that was maybe my only complaint to that at times, because they're hunting for their threes. But
Yeah.
they did a great job.
My complaint on Jacobsen wasn't getting out fast enough as his hands weren't up.
Right.
Like Jacobsen would run out and his hands were still at his waist. Like you're 7'4", put your
Right.
hands up.
Like, you're right, and you saw how many times he affected the shot on drives, so he can do the same on those threes as well. I am Saluki says, when Loyer blocked the alley-oop in the first half, I knew we would win. That was certainly a nice play. We've got Olivia jumping in here saying, a big moment for me was when Mayer attempted the steal right before the half. She loved the effort. Appreciate you, Olivia, as always. Brad Prather shouting out the Slam U shirt. Appreciate you, Brad, as always. Been tuning in here for a while, Brad, and we love you. Then we've got Scott White saying Sleepers number 2 right behind Bits. Appreciate your support, Scott. And then Andrew Short saying upvote, feed the post 100%. Make sure you're showing your love and support to Feed the Post and all the great work that Joe is doing, covering all of the Big Ten and not just Purdue on that channel. He does an unbelievable job, and we're very lucky and grateful to have him with us on this team for the last few years. This has been my most fun of what I do in sports coverage, and I know that's being a little greedy with what I get to do to cover Chicago sports, but I truly mean that. I take a lot of joy and pride out of what we do here covering the Purdue Boilermakers with you two fine gentlemen. Rick is born saying shots fired, saying Kraig trying to bail on us and go to bed because he's old. There it is. Shots fired from Rick. And I think Olivia gives a shout out to Kraig saying thanks for changing the cup. Kraig,
I had a Notre Dame cup earlier and then switched to a Purdue cup. I don't
do that. I'll be at the Notre Dame.
My roommates are Notre Dame fans, so.
Well, I'll be at the Notre Dame Syracuse football game next week with some friends. So excited to get on that campus, watch a football game on a Saturday. More freezing comments from Rick. He's just giving you crap. Some more. Says tell Comcast to step up the game. Be nice. Andy Buck,
Comcast.
Yeah, Andy Buck says the closeouts in the first half were not great, as we were just talking about. Just like the Toronto game, Bama went off from 3. But just like the Toronto game, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And in the second half, those threes can certainly get more pressure cooker and harder to hit, and those averages start to even out. And then Rick dropping in a nice little stat here saying TKR, third player in the last 30 seasons to have 15 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists in an AP top 10 matchup. The other two, Joe Forte, 2001, and Tim Duncan, 1996.
Holy crap.
There's a nice little stat of the day from Rick. Here are our super chats that we didn't get to. Apologize for not getting them to faster, but obviously we've had a lot to say here tonight on a celebratory Boilers in the Stands post-game show, so hopefully you understand. But Christopher Tice saying for $2, Tease, appreciate you, Chris. I don't get anybody's names right, but he says, don't be friends with those who don't like Loyer. That's right. As Matt Painter said, only the smart people understand what Fletcher Loyer brings to the table. Jason Depew, $5 super chat. Great early season win. Hope they drop us to 5th this week. Rankings don't matter, but them dropping them from 1 to 2 after not losing a game I felt a little disrespectful and a lack of trust in a program that I think has earned it over the last 4, 5, or 6 years. And tonight, I think they shut a lot of people up, and anybody that had any questions about who they are and what they're, I saw somebody when Kentucky lost Lou, how bad is Purdue? Well, you found out how bad Purdue is. They're bad to the bone, and they just beat a top 10 team on the road. So you guys can have your rankings. We'll have this team back fighting for a Final Four come March. Olive Jazzer saying Greg Waddell will be confused. Not only did Colvin absolutely poster his Wolverines and almost beat them, but we take down number 8 Alabama in their house.
No, we don't need to shade Greg Waddell. Sleepers has been good to us. We love Sleepers.
Yeah, it's all fun and games as long as it's respectful. poking. We'll have fun with Greg. We have fun with Greg and Carter. So as long as everybody keeps it in bounds, we can have fun with it too. It's sports talk at the end of the day. Just don't get disrespectful.
Right.
Don't cross the line. Double D's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. They're starting some things up, and they reached out last week, and we're going to show some support to them as well as they show support to us. Boiler Up, great show from Double D's podcast. Appreciate you guys joining the show and tuning in. Salty B says, here's $2 to start the Bowers laptop fund. There it is. Shout out. And then Andy Knapp, as this has become a Kraig GoFundMe, says, here's gas money for Greg to get his stuff fixed. So shout out to Andy. And then Tippett, one more shout out from him for the $50 super chat. We appreciate you always. Thank you immensely for the big money super chat. SLK Boiler, we love her very much. 3 years of great games against Alabama. And how about those uniforms for $10? We appreciate you as well. We have reached the hour 40-minute mark, but Andy Knapp does bring in here, says 2 7-footers next year, going to be badass. Joe, I know you worked hard here, and you always have that scholarship charge sheet, maybe to wrap things up with the 4 signees that were announced. That's how we'll kind of close the door here on a victorious Boilers in the Stand postgame show, but an update of the bright future that is Purdue Boilermaker basketball.
Yeah. So, what was it? Official signing day was yesterday, 2 days ago. Purdue adds in 4 commits: Luke Ertl, Jacob Weber, Rivers Knight, and Sinan Wan. Right now, so 15, right? You can have 15 on your roster. As of right now, they have 14 for next year. Now that does count 3 walk-ons, and I haven't gotten any clarification on whether right now the walk-ons are grandfathered in this year. I don't know if that applies to next year or not, or if that's just like a 1-year thing. So we'll see. So there could be a couple more spots open as well. And obviously that's assuming they retain everybody, but yeah, just kind of where they sit. Like, this is a team that, as if everything holds the way it is, and walk-ons or walk-ons are not grandfathered in, and they keep all 3, Purdue has 1 spot open, presumably for some transfer. And that's just kind of where they're at. And even in the future, like there's the only juniors on this roster right now, they are walk-ons. So there's, even if next year's should still be good, even if it is a little bit more of a rebuild year, and I don't even know if rebuild's the right word, there's a chance that they retain a lot for 2 years. So exciting time for Purdue fans, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And next year is going to be a big opportunity for CJ Cox and Gicarri Harris to take the baton and show what they're all about after learning from the best tandem, and that is Fletcher Loyer and Braden Smith. And not too shabby of a backcourt when you look at an opportunity to have Daniel Jacobsen, and then the big signing of Sinan Wan coming over here. And then obviously everybody's talking about Luke Ertl, but coming in as a freshman, we'll have to keep our expectations at a certain rate. But there's high praise for Luke Ertl here. Everything I'm hearing, I saw a quote from Matt Painter talking about that he's like one of the best, most battle. What was the quote he said about Luke Ertl? That something along the lines of
competitors, basically.
Yeah, one of the best competitors he's ever seen. So Painter doesn't dish out high praise like that unless it's warranted. So a lot to be excited about the future of Purdue Boilermaker basketball. So just thought we'd give you an update on that as well. So I think that wraps things up here for tonight on our hour and 45-minute post-game show. This is like a CHGO Bears post-game show after ripping off some big wins. Hopefully I get one of those here on Sunday as the Bears keep things rolling. But Purdue is the team that's rolling here tonight as they take down the Alabama Crimson Tide on the road. Once again, the first top 10 road win non-conference since 1982 when they beat the number 7 ranked Louisville, whatever they are. I forget. I'm blanking. Cardinals. Yeah. Well, I almost said Louisville, and I've been getting a lot of crap for that. So that was what I wanted to make sure I hit. And then I forgot what their mascot is. I don't care. to be honest with you. Thank you to Joe and Kraig, as always, for your unmatched knowledge and analysis to the game. You guys are the best in the business, in my opinion. And there's some great ones out there. So that's no shade to the great people that cover Purdue basketball. I guarantee I'll be watching Brian Newbert's 15-minute breakdown as soon as this show is over. He's the GOAT. But you guys are amazing at what you do, and it's much appreciated for everybody in the chat. And thank you to everyone in the chat for hanging out. Please hit that like button one more time and subscribe if you haven't already. This is the Midwestern Goodbye, but a big time win. Don't question your Boilermakers. Embrace the journey. Any questions you had, I think, were answered here tonight. This is a national championship contending team. I will continue to say this is the road to Indianapolis because that is what this team said is their goal, and we will continue to follow along on their journey as we try to get to Indy and some big games here coming along the way. So, hey, stay tuned next week. We'll have more preview shows, more post-game shows. Always stay on the lookout for potential interviews with different people that will bust in here or there. But this is what this program has been all about for years now. We are still in the golden era of Purdue basketball, and Braden Smith, Fletcher Loyer, and Kaufman-Renn in their senior year showed tonight what they're all about, and they flexed their moxie and experience on a tough Alabama team, and they went in there and clamped down and took that win and controlled that basketball game. And so I think that was a very impressive effort, and I think everybody here should be really impressed by what Purdue showed here tonight. So long season to go. Going to be more fun games along the way, but a great way to start 3-0 for your Purdue Boilermakers. We'll be back here next week. A lot of great games here coming up. And,
we'll be back here Sunday. There's a game Sunday, and what preview will be out tomorrow.
Yeah, Sunday. Yeah. That's right. I won't be able to be a part of any of that coverage because I'll be covering the Chicago Bears. But these guys will handle it.
And big time.
And then on November 20th, I'm very excited for Memphis to show up at Mackey Arena, and I am going to fanboy out at Penny Hardaway.
The Bahamas. It's in the Bahamas.
No!
You can go still.
Oh, that's like a knife through the heart. I thought I was gonna get to meet Penny Hardaway.
No. Like we played them in the Bahamas, Kraig. I don't know how you missed this. Like the entire tournament has been foretold for like I don't know, like 6 months. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's all right. We'll tell Penny Hardaway I said hi because I was a big fan of Penny's growing up. But Kraig, I believe, is heading to the Bahamas, so he'll be giving us coverage for there. So stay tuned Sunday. We'll continue to bring it back. But yeah, Kraig just broke my heart to end this show, which is real nice of him. But that's it. I got nothing more to say. Have a great night. Enjoy the win, and we'll see you here on Sunday for more coverage. Stay tuned for a preview show if they're going to knock that out. And then our post-game show on Sunday following the game. Enjoy the night, and always boiler up.